Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to make some programming notes before the episode starts. Wife and I had to stop somewhere in the middle of this episode and attend to the babies, and then we got busy with life and we couldn't get through the episode for the day. So we recorded a tidbit later on to fill it out, make it a little longer. So there's a very jarring sudden stop. I put some intermission music in it. Some forewarning, so, we're all still getting used to this whole podcast thing and editing and all that jazz. So enjoy the episode. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, we're recording.
Hello.
Hello, Internet. So this is episode 3-ish, because episode 2 is real short, and it's not even published yet. But this is episode 3. Yay, episode 3.
Try not to move around. This chair is really creaky.
Oh, I know. So we're not prepared real well, but we have a bunch of links, which is what we do. We find links, and we read random stuff from the internet in order to enlighten the masses to our amazing opinions. This first link that I found made me angry at society because people are dumb. The title is Stress Mess. 3 in 5 millennials say life more stressful now than ever before. And then the subheading. From slow Wi-Fi to broken phone screens to 0 likes on social media, everyday stressors are causing young adults to have struggles falling asleep 138 nights each year, researchers say.
Clearly none of these people grew up with dial-up.
Yeah, clearly none of these people know what actual stress is. Because if that's what stresses you out, not enough likes on social media and no Wi-Fi, then you need to get a life, a real life.
And I haven't read this article. Is this the one that goes through ranking each stress?
I'm not sure.
Oh, Rush Limbaugh had a thing on that the other day, talking about. Oh, yep, this is
There it is. Here are the top 20 stressful scenarios reported by millennials. We should just read through these. There's only 20. Number 1, losing wallet or credit card, which
that would stress me out.
That's stressful, sure. Arguing with partner. I don't argue with my wife. She's not my partner. She's my wife. But we don't argue, so that's no big deal. Commute, traffic delays. We don't deal with that. And if we did, that's what podcasts are for. If it's delayed, you just get to listen to your favorite podcast longer.
Unless you're a woman and you've really got to pee.
I don't suffer from that problem. Losing phone. That would annoy me. But AT&T's right down the road. And I've got, unless I lost my credit card the same day, I could just go get another one. I could get a $50 track phone. An hour later or less, I have my phone again. And I can be contacted. It's not, for me, it's not even like, if I lost my phone, I wouldn't be stressed out because I don't do social media, so who cares if somebody's trying to like what I put on social media or whatever. I'd be stressed because of my business. I wouldn't be able to receive phone calls for the business. Nobody really calls me anyway. So, that wouldn't bother me much either. Arriving late to work. Well, just leave home earlier. That's not hard to overcome. Slow Wi-Fi, that's one of the dumbest ones on the list. Because, just wait. Come on. Phone battery dying. Stop using your phone so often. That's easy too. Or
close your apps.
Close all your apps. Get a better phone. Quit using it so often is really the biggest one there. Forgetting passwords. That's obnoxious, but it doesn't really stress me out at all. I don't lose sleep over it, that's for certain. Credit card fraud. We just had that happen.
Yeah.
That's kind of stressful. Well, you took it worse than I did.
Well, yeah.
The credit cards have built-in fraud protection, so you just report it and move on. Change all your passwords.
Yeah.
Call it good. If you can remember them, back to number 8.
Yeah.
Forgetting phone charger. That's a dumb one. Misplacing keys. Just form better habits. Paying bills. Do them all on auto pay. Make sure there's money in your account. That one's easy. Job interviews. I've never done those, so I've done one. And it was for a job that accepts everyone because I work with a bunch of nice people. Nice people.
I've
That's
done
what I work with.
but again, they weren't exactly high stress, high skill jobs.
Yeah, we don't really count. I think that refers to like, you want to go work at Microsoft. It's extraordinarily competitive. There's like 10 million people out there who want a job at Microsoft, you know, because it pays a lot and the career opportunities, and you're competing against like 400 other people on this singular interview for a low-level intern thing, and you're not going to get paid anything, but it's a career opportunity. Yeah, I can understand that being a thing. Phone screen breaking.
That's kind of dumb. It seems like I'm constantly seeing people with shattered phone screens.
And they just keep using them.
Well, just get a phone case.
Well, also, phone screens work fine, broken. I've seen it a lot. People with their busted phones, they just keep using them. So, I mean, if it's broken, it's fine. Unless you really, really broke it, then just go buy a new phone for $50, a cheap one. So there's no excuses there if you... In fact, you can get them for less than that if you do it right. Credit card bills. That can be stressful. I'll give them that one. Just don't get credit cards. That's the key there.
Or you won't have credit.
Yeah. Check engine light coming on. Mine's on all the time in both my vehicles.
Yeah, and we can't do anything about it either because it's one of those stupid sensors that you don't actually need.
Yeah, in both vehicles.
Yeah.
School loan payments. Don't go to college. That's my advice to that one. Job security. Don't get a dumb job that is dispensable. I'm so mean.
Or just be a good employee.
Choosing what to wear. That one's extra dumb. Washing dishes. That one's extra dumb too. So there's like, I think out of this whole list, five or six different ones that are like legit problems. But the rest are, let's see, what's the legit problems? Losing credit card or wallet. That's pretty stressful.
Credit card fraud.
Credit card fraud, yeah, that's stressful if it happens to you.
Paying bills.
Paying bills, yeah. Job security, sure.
I think paying bills and credit card bills should just be the same.
Yeah, what are we up to? 4? That's about it. Everything else can just be mitigated by being a more responsible, disciplined person. Washing dishes, that's not something to lose sleep over. Just wash the stupid dishes. It's not hard. You know? Arguing with your partner? Yeah, just work on your personal, just work it out. What's wrong with these people? I've got no sympathy for most of this.
Yeah.
Forgetting passwords? Just write it down and put it on your computer on a sticky note.
Well, it's also very easy to reset passwords.
Well, that's what they do in video games. You just poke around. Need a password to hack the computer? You just look at the computer. There's a sticky note with it written right there. Okay, well that was all right. That was what it was. I'm actually not going to close these tabs because there's actually going to be show notes with real links.
Oh boy.
So the listener can go actually read these for themselves. Okay, I did read most of this article. Warner Bros. Kevin Tsujihara.
Did you put the computer on mute in case there's pop-ups?
Oh, yeah, we can do that. It might take a minute. There we go. To exit as studio chief. I'm pretty sure this is this the sexual abuse thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exiting his role as chairman and CEO of Warner Bros. Entertainment. He's a job he's held for 6 years. Well, that's not very long. Short timer. Contributed greatly to the success over the past 25 years, and for that we thank him. I think I might have the wrong article here. I'm not seeing anything about. Let's see. In a Hollywood Reporter article on March 6th, text message between the executive and Charlotte Kirk revealed that Tsujihara said that he would push for auditions for the actress amid an apparent sexual relationship that he was having with her. See, so she was sleeping around and he was giving her favors. Career favors, as it were. Mm-hmm. That's worth leaving a company over, probably. Need to just knock it off. You get 6 years as the CEO of this huge company. You got enough money. Go find something else to do. Anything to say? Any comments?
No. I mean, I've told you before my feeling on these, not necessarily that this seems to be a Me Too thing, but my feeling on a lot of these is that you can't, at a certain point, you gotta stop saying that women are victims, and I don't know if anyone's called any women victims in this case, because I haven't looked into it. But if you're gonna put yourself out there as someone who's willing to do favors for a job, you really just can't blame anyone else at that point. Men are horny.
Yeah.
And women are very manipulative.
It almost makes you wonder at some point where, like, is this guy voluntarily dropping out or stepping down? Because if so, it's kind of a different animal than him, like, being ousted or moved. Because at some point, I wouldn't be surprised if this sort of thing just doesn't affect people's careers anymore. You know what I mean? Because they were in a physical relationship, and it's basically nepotism at that point. They're not married, but that's what it is. They're in a relationship, and he's promoting her career because of that. And, I'm surprised it's not just a slap on the wrist and a reprimand and 2 weeks suspension or whatever. He's the CEO, so it's a little different animal, but I'm surprised it's not just an under the rug sort of thing nowadays. It's actually made headlines and he's leaving, which is surprising considering it seems to be really common nowadays. I wonder if me whispering gets picked up. It seems to be really common nowadays.
Well, I should probably read these articles before we talk about them, because I have no idea about that particular situation.
Well, this next one I read all the way through, and there's no segue. It's about Diet Coke. It says, not so sweet. Even drinking Diet Coke every day increases your risk of dying young from heart disease and cancer.
We've known that for like a decade.
Yeah, it's a little weird that this is actually even an article, because aren't we supposed to just assume that nowadays? It's Diet Coke.
Well, but the average person doesn't know that. I mean, we know certain people who buy cases of Diet Coke and just are insistent it's better than regular sugar.
Right, well, that's the way they sell it. It's all advertisements. The propaganda is strong with this one. I'm sure I haven't watched TV in a while, but I assume the Diet Coke commercials make it seem like that's how you be healthy.
Well, there's a Diet Coke commercial before every movie when you go to the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, Coke.
And they always show really skinny, healthy-looking woman.
Oh, yeah.
Drinking a Coke.
Except they don't show that same woman drinking a Coke every day in her 60s because she's dead by then, according to this article. It says, drinking Coke or Diet Coke every day could increase your risk of dying young, experts have warned.
Well, I gotta be honest, every person that I've known personally who I've seen drinking Diet Coke has either been shaped like the Pillsbury Doughboy, or they clearly have severe thyroid problems because they're malnourished looking.
Yeah, this article is just saying what anybody who knows anything about health at all already knows, and it boggles my mind that there's people out there who don't know. Like I feel like it's impossible that there's people who have been told, who have never been told that you should be drinking water. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Well, they say, clearly they've heard you shouldn't drink Coke. You should drink Diet Coke. It's got the word diet on it after all. It'll cut down your sugar.
Well, it's sugar-free.
Yeah, but it'll elevate your toxins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm diabetic, so I drink Diet Coke. Why not just water?
Or tea with stevia.
Or tea. Yeah, there's so many good options.
Although, let's be fair, you're very resistant whenever I remind you to drink some water.
I drink it. I just don't drink enough of it. You don't see me replacing it with something worse.
Yeah.
I don't buy soda. I drink a lot of coffee. And that's part of the reason I don't drink water, because I'm not thirsty. But when I do drink liquid, it's either coffee or tea or water. It's not soda. It's not fizzy, except for this weird kombucha next to me. You know, it's not sweetened with anything. It's
Well,
just
if
water or
people
coffee.
want that, they can just get a soda stream and figure something out.
Yeah, and I do have a friend who actually stopped drinking soda with a soda stream. He was putting flavoring in it, but then he ended up just taking it out and having fizzy water, and that's all he drinks now. He just drinks water with carbon in it.
You know, I might need to grab the baby here soon. She's not quite awake, but almost.
Oh, she's wiggling around. Let's see. Let's read a little bit of this. It says 2 sugary cans a day increase risk by a fifth. And the new study published in Circulation looked at data from 80,647 women and 37,716 men who had answered questionnaires about lifestyle factors every 2 years. They found that the more sugar-sweetened drinks a person drinks, the more his or her risk of early death from any cause increased. Drinking 2 a day increased that risk by 14%, while those guzzling more than 2 a day had a 21% risk of early death.
The problem with this article is that they're being confusing. Unless they change halfway down, they're calling this a sugary drink. There's no sugar in it.
Right. No, it's talking about sugary drinks, but then it also mentions, let's see. These findings are consistent with the known adverse effects of high sugar intake on metabolic risk factors and the strong evidence that drinking sugar-sweetened beverages increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, itself a major risk factor for premature death. But also, it mentions sugary drinks, but the whole article, I'm scrolling too far, the whole article also talks about what they consider a sugar-sweetened beverage. It's actually, there's an acronym, SSB. Best option is to ditch fizzy drinks altogether and stick to water instead, of course. Harvard, blah, blah, blah. Our results provide further support to limit intake of sugar-sweetened beverages and to replace them with other drinks, preferably water, to improve overall health and longevity. Of course.
That's so dumb.
Here we go.
Diet soda
Yeah.
may be used to help frequent consumers of sugary drink cut back on their consumption. That's a total lie.
Yeah, that was the chunk I was
Because-
trying to look at.
Because they've evidence, I'm pretty sure, I've heard this multiple times, that in fact it's more addictive because your body doesn't know how to digest it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your body can't digest it. It's not food at all.
Well, I've heard over and over that sugar, refined white sugar, is more addictive than cocaine. Everyone's heard that.
I've heard that, but people drink more diet soda because they're convinced that it's healthier.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it's also quite addictive. It's been years and years and years since I've looked into this, but it bothers me that people are still figuring this out because I knew aspartame was so dangerous when I was 15. I was chewing sugar-free gum at work all the time and wondering why I kept getting migraines. They went away when I stopped chewing sugar-free gum.
Yeah, this, here's the part that bothers me. Sugar-laden fizzy drinks also increase the risk of early death from any cause by a fifth and are also fueling a rise in cancer cases, Harvard experts said. While swapping to Diet Coke, or diet versions in general, is better, drink more than 4 a day and you're still at risk of dying young. Why is it better? I contend that, I don't want to say something totally false here, but I think that if you have one drink that's sugary per day, you're probably, yes, you're at risk for problems because it's a lot of sugar every day, but I think you're probably doing yourself more of a disservice by drinking diet soda because it's like chemicals and toxins that you're putting in your body. At least sugar there is naturally occurring sugar. They refine it out of beets, for crying out loud, and canes.
Well,
you know.
the problem, though, with soda in general is that there's nothing safe about it after a certain point. I know we've talked about this before, but you never did that experiment where you took one of your baby teeth and put it in a cup of, I think it was Coke or Pepsi. it's rather frightening.
Oh, I know. The acid, whatever kind of acid is in there, is really gnarly. But well, it says this is interesting here. It says, in fact, previous studies have shown that the 6 common artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, neotame, advantame, and acesulfame potassium K, have all been found to be toxic to gut bacteria, which is a real interesting thing. And then it goes on. They've been associated with weight gain, slashing the chances of getting pregnant during IVF, tripling the risk of deadly stroke and dementia, and raising the risk of developing diabetes. So these are the fake sugars that have been associated with all this jazz. But that first one is super important because it ruins your gut bacteria, which is like burgeoning science and really, really, really important, more so than anybody has previously suspected. It affects your neurology. It affects how well your metabolism works. It's really, really important. So if it ruins your gut bacteria, that's the culprit right there. I'd rather have sugar, because as far as I know, that doesn't ruin your gut bacteria, So the whole article, I guess, is what I'm saying, is kind of disingenuous, because it's like, sugary drinks are bad. Diet drinks with fake sugars aren't as bad, but still bad. That whole thing is a lie. In my opinion, the sugary drinks are bad, but they're, in a way, they're better than the artificial sugar drinks.
Well, they could have just skipped most of this and said, look, soda of any sort will kill you, just drink water.
Yeah, that's true. Unless it's kombucha. It's fizzy. It's kind of like a soda, and it does not ruin your gut bacteria. It promotes it. This commercial brought to you by me to sell kombucha. Okay, onward. There's no segue. Sorry. I'll get better. Eventually I'll get better. So what?
So we're back a day or so later. We got interrupted by a toddler waking up. You also might hear the sounds of a 3-week-old nursing or fussing because she's closer to the mic than I am.
Yeah, we had to take a break because of children and life and all that jazz. But that's fine. We're just going to continue on for a little bit longer and finish up our episode and then hopefully get it published soon. We're just going to put that other article to bed, actually. Let's just not talk about that. It's hard to get back into the flow. But we can talk about how the other night we finished the Jack Ryan series on Amazon Prime, the TV show. Usually when we watch a new TV show, we pretty good at picking out all the little social themes and cultural references and whatnot. And we like to talk about all of the wrong things in the world that they're trying to shove down our throats in TV shows. And I didn't really notice a whole lot in that particular show. It was good. I actually really liked it.
It was trying to be super sympathetic to the bad guy. Like, there's a reason he's this way, which
it still didn't
does
hold water.
make for a better bad guy.
It does. It makes for a much better character.
Yeah.
But more believable character. But I guess I'm just so opposed to the Islamic extremist ideal that it's hard for me to have any empathy or sympathy or anything, no matter how well fleshed out a character is.
Well, he wasn't that well fleshed out. He was
That's
still... I don't know. It's hard for me to find all bad guys in TV shows believable, because at a certain point, they're just angry at everyone for all their problems. And really, his problems, the main bad guy's problems, were, in the end, his own. Yes, he had a sad childhood. His parents died. He and his brother had to go live somewhere else. But the rampant racism seems a bit much, especially considering what's happening in Europe right now.
Yeah. Well, I think the show had a pretty good reflection of the world, because there's like, I don't know how many. I feel like the number is over 1 billion. There's a whole lot of Muslims out there. There's no way you're going to get 1 billion people who are extreme in their views and want to murder other people. That's absurd to think that that exists.
No.
But there's enough of them that feel that way to make a really negative impact on the world and society and kill a lot of people and do a lot of real evil in the world. But there's also a whole lot of them who just do their day-to-day thing. They have their jobs. They love their kids.
Well, the problem with looking at it that way, though, is that, yes, there are a lot of Muslims who live in Western nations who are great people, who absorb into society, don't bother anyone, nobody bothers them. But once the Muslim population reaches a certain point, the culture does start to change for them.
Right, that's true, because it also seems like Islam is such that, now I may be wrong, but I feel like their law and their religion are intertwined inextricably. It's like a king priest. They don't have him, but that's the example I think of immediately. You know, he's the king, he's the ruler, but he's also the priest. He's also the religious figure. And I feel like Islam adheres to that idea, which is bad, because if you get enough of them, then you will have kind of a ruling class who is the religious figures. And that's kind of scary. That's a scary thought. Because if you read the Quran, there's enough passages in there that it really doesn't take that much imagination to think that the rulers, the government, who are also the religious leaders, are going to want anybody who isn't Islam to become Islam. And if not, jihad. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of their belief system, which is really frightening.
Well, that's why the idiocy of these young women going to these Muslim majority nations and, I'm going to spread love. I'm going to prove that everyone is basically good. No, people are basically evil.
Yeah, it surprises me that there isn't, and there may be, because I haven't looked real deep into Islamic culture, but it surprises me that there isn't a large contingency of people who want to create a totally new ideology and belief system that kind of borrows from the Quran and borrows from the Islamic ideal, but isn't. And they take a whole new name and everything because they're trying to separate themselves from this taint that is these people who take these verses out of the Quran and say, okay, this says I must kill the infidel. It does say that. I forget where, but it does say that. There's a lot of them that probably don't want to go kill the infidel, but it says so in their books, so they kind of should separate themselves.
I would go get that timer. Well, the problem... Yeah, there is, as I understand it, a group of Muslims, well, I wouldn't say a group. There are Muslims who have come forward who say that it's time for a reformation, because Christianity went through a reformation after Catholicism. So it does exist, but they tend to get targeted by,
Well, yeah, there's so many Muslims that seem to take the extremist view.
Well, they don't say that they do, but when they get to a certain percentage of the population, you start to see bits of Sharia starting to take over.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a threshold of population. When it gets to that point, the women start being more oppressed, even though you're in America and we don't do that.
No. When you get to a certain point, women in Germany start being advised to wear hijabs if they don't want anyone to bother them.
Well, right. But, isn't there a town somewhere is it in Indiana or...
Michigan.
Michigan.
I believe. I think.
Yeah, where the police just don't go, and Sharia actually is the law.
No, I don't.
There's such a giant community there that they have their own law, and
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of somewhere else. I did see an article recently where they had Muslim community patrol. But I don't remember where. I don't think it was in Michigan or Indiana.
Was it in the States?
Yeah, in the States, I think.
Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Nobody quote me on that.
Yeah, clearly we don't research real deeply.
I see these articles in passing, but clearly I'm a little busy with children, so I don't have time to read all the way through these articles. But the no-go zones in the UK are a real thing, despite what people have been trying to say for years. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, you get enough people high up in the government with enough clout and believe the same way. Of course, they're gonna do all they can to play the politically correct person and keep it on the down low that there's a lot of young men who are forming rape gangs and doing all kinds of horrible things. I mean, it's just obvious when you get someone who leads the country of the same ideology, they're going to try and protect that class. Also, they're kind of the sacred cow. Christians get beat upon all the time, but nobody mentions how bad the Muslim
Right. Well,
is sometimes.
we're not doing the blame the victim thing, so nobody take that. But right during that mosque attack, and where was it? New Zealand?
Yeah, it's in Christchurch.
In New Zealand, there were over 100 Christians killed so far this year.
Oh, at least there was one attack somewhere in Africa, I think, where like 31 Christians were killed.
And nobody's talked about that.
By Muslims. Like, literally.
Yes.
And it never came out in the news. It never made the front page. It was 31 people.
Right.
So they're kind of making a giant example on the news and the newsreels about this Christchurch thing. Oh, it's a white male who's he's far-right white male.
Who hated Trump.
Who hated Trump, but still. He's a far-right white male that went and killed all these people. What about 31 Christians? That's not a protected class or a protected people group or a protected ideology. That's the sacrificial ideology. You can kill them all day long and you'll never make news.
Well, and people always like to come out and say, well, other Muslims are mainly the victims from extremist Muslims. Well, that's true because there's a lot of them in these countries.
Yeah.
But
there is
targeting,
a separation because there's so many of them there.
Right, but they're, I'm sure they're considered acceptable casualties.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of the point I was trying to make. If I were Muslim and I saw all the atrocities committed by ISIS and Taliban and all these ISIL, what is it Obama called them ISIL?
ISIL.
Yeah, he changed the acronym because
Or did they start calling him Daesh? Or is that something else?
I don't know. But he changed the acronym because it was more PC to say that, right? Anyway, all these terrorist groups, they have an ideology, and the ideology is Islam. And if I were a Muslim and I hated what they were doing, I would probably separate myself from Islam. I wouldn't claim that name anymore because I wouldn't want to be associated with them. If I didn't believe what they were doing.
Well, you'd have to.
It surprises me that there isn't a huge amount of people doing that.
Get the heck out of Dodge, though.
It's true. Well, that's a good point. You'd have to move because the culture is entrenched, and there's no escaping it unless you actually leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Anyway, it's a very complex, nuanced thing to discuss, and I think back to original topic. I think that Jack Ryan did a fair job of saying, "Hey, there's people of these ideologies, but there's also these extremist dudes who are the bad dudes.
Yeah.
Not all Muslims are bad. I don't believe most of what's in the Quran. There's a lot of things in the Quran that's wrong. I'm sure somebody would say that about the Christian Bible too if they were ignorant of the particulars of it. And maybe I'm ignorant of the particulars, but somehow I don't think so. I don't see a lot of Christians going out there with vests of bombs blowing people up.
No, people like to say, well, there's Christians extremists or Christians do this. When's the last time Christians went and blew anybody up.
Also, when's the last time you heard of a Christian group of terrorists who claim credit for all these atrocities? Every time there's some dude who blows a bunch of people up or shoots a bunch of people up, ISIS comes out and said, yeah, that was us. That was us. We did that. I don't know of any Christian groups that do that. So right from the get-go, the deck is stacked against them. You know, they're trying to say that they're good and the religion of peace. They're not really doing a great job of showing us that they are that.
Well, when have they ever claimed to be the religion of peace, though?
That's what they call themselves.
Really?
That's a thing.
I thought that was just what the Obama administration
No, that's
called
the
them.
thing. They say, oh, it's the religion of peace.
Well, I suppose
Shalom.
if you're going to say only peace through conflict.
And if anybody hears that sound, it's my cat playing with cat toy.
Yeah, we meant to take those away.
I gave him some catnip just now before recording.
We forgot to get those.
All right, well, that was a good talk. Do you have any other topics? Or this is really just the closer. We're trying to close the episode here. I know you had some links that I didn't read, so if you got anything to talk about.
Yeah, I had some links. They're a little annoying to pull up. I don't like that system. Let me see.
This is a great website, and while she's looking, if anybody wants to look, we're on Jihad Watch, just checking that out for a moment. The guy who runs it is, he's a real upright dude. I've heard him on in several podcasts, and he is often the subject of attacks from mainstream media and lawyers and all manner of things. In fact, I think there might be a fatwa out on him, because Muslims hate this guy, because he reports all the atrocities that happen under the name of Islam. And it's all verified news. You know, it's not hearsay. All of this is verifiable, and a lot of it's on mainstream media. So check out his website. It's called Jihad Watch.
Well, yesterday I wanted to talk about Roundup, and mostly I didn't really want to talk about the case itself, but what really bothered me is when I was reading articles on this case of the guy who had cancer in the court case, that I believe went to appeal, but I'm not sure. Again, I don't have time to read all these articles as thoroughly as I want to.
You're talking about the guy that Bobby Kennedy defended, right?
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he got sprayed with Roundup, and he's terminally ill. Like, he will die. It's gonna kill him.
I didn't realize that was Kennedy.
I think it was Bobby Kennedy, and the court actually awarded him. They actually awarded him. He won the case for like $280 million, and that's that. I think that's the actual number. It's somewhere around 280. But then that got reduced somehow. I don't know how courts work real well. All the terminology always messes me up. But that got reduced to something like $80 million. But it's been proven in the court of law that him being sprayed with Roundup caused his cancer, which is the point, which is the victory there. Mm-hmm. Because glyphosate's terrible, and the big chemical companies have so much clout and pull with media that they have convinced everyone that it's not as bad as it is, which is terrible.
Right. Well, I just thought of it again because I saw this article that said that
I'm going to grab that bell.
LA County halts use of popular weed killer on county property, which is nice. A little sad that it's just in California because, you know, California bans everything. This is the state that puts warning labels on everything, which I have a lot of problems with California. I don't have a problem with that. They're not stopping anyone from buying these things. They're just giving you informed consent that, hey, this is bad.
Well, a couple of things they are. You can't buy a brake cleaner in California. Good brake cleaner.
Anyway. But what bothered me about these articles is most of the people commenting on them, and that these comments come from Drudge, so you'd assume that most of the readers are probably calling themselves Republican or conservative, which aren't we supposed to be the party of freedom, do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anyone else? Well, these people are mostly griping about I don't know how to say this. What was I saying yesterday? They were griping about how You can't take this away because there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly safe. What was this idiot doing bathing in it? Like, really dumb comments.
Oh yeah, they always come out and say that like, oh, it's safe. I'd drink a gallon of this stuff right now if I had it,
Never
and I'd be
mind.
fine because it's been proven to be safe. The scientists wouldn't let us have it if it wasn't safe. Blah blah blah.
Which, there's a disconnect there because most conservatives, I believe, probably do not believe in man-made global warming or climate change, whatever they want to call it now. So we are, in fact, the party of science, some people claim. There's a lot of finger pointing on both sides saying, oh, you're anti-science, you're anti-science.
Yeah.
But it really does seem sometimes that people on the Republican side refuse to look at new science because something works really well, seemingly, and we aren't all dead. Well, you're slowly dying because it's in your food.
Yeah, I've actually taken classes on toxicity for my job, and there's a thing called systemic toxicity that won't show up for years. Like, you have to be exposed to a specific thing for years and years for it to come up. And the problem with this is that when they do studies, they're often only for a year or two, but this is like a 20-year or 30-year process of somebody being inundated. Their system is constantly being attacked by specific chemicals, and you don't get systemic toxicity until then. And then it surfaces, it manifests in really bad ways. You know, your body just shuts down, it gets cancer, all these horrible things happen, but they're not going to pay for a 30-year study for a specific product before they are allowed to even market it. They want that money soon. It's a monetary thing, so they do like a 1-year study or 2-year study on a controlled group of people, 30 people or whatever, with microdoses or whatever, and it comes up clean, and they're all fine. None of them got cancer. Yay! Let's market it and make a ton of money. You know, well, 30 years later, everyone's dying.
Yeah, well, never mind the fact that cancer's on the rise, autoimmune conditions are on the rise. You can't just blame it on one thing, but you've got it in your food, you've got it in the air. You drive by somebody out there spraying Roundup in the median.
On the ornamentals.
Yeah. So,
Your kids go to school and they play on a soccer field of grass that's been sprayed with Roundup because they don't want weeds in it.
Yeah.
You know, so the kids are basically rolling around in it. What's that logical fallacy somebody was saying? You were reading it to me, the comments were, they're like, gasoline has a high toxicity, but we're not all dead because of it. We use it every day. Yeah, but they don't spray it on your food just before they harvest it.
Yeah.
You know, it's true. Gasoline is a very high toxicity, but you're exposed to it so little in day to day that it doesn't affect you. You're not drinking it. You're not eating it. You're not pouring it on your hands.
Yeah.
I hope. You shouldn't pour it on your hands.
Well... So, and it bothers me when people are like, oh, these are like so many parts per billion. Yeah, that does build up in your system.
Yeah, exactly. Systemic toxicity is a thing.
And some people do not have the ability to detox their bodies very well. So when people say, yeah, but we'll all detox it. No, we won't all detox it.
Yeah. Yeah, heavy metals are hard to get rid of. Not that it's heavy metals, but the point stands. Some things your body just doesn't release well. What's that? People always compare. They compare things that don't kill you, in big air quotes, with water. Well, if you drink enough water, that'll kill you too. It's poisonous if you drink enough of it. You know, I hate it when people do that. It's such a conflation of incorrect truths. You know. Anyway. I think that's probably all our topics for today and 2 days ago when we stopped on our first recording. Hopefully, I can edit in a little bit of a soundbite to make that transition a little better from our gap. And
sorry for all the hems and haws from me. I did not have time to prepare for this. I just thought of it the last minute.
Yeah, we're gonna do better on the next one. Again, feel free to send us anything interesting you want us to talk about to our email. It is thehinterlandsmedia@gmail.com. Get on Twitter. It's at hinterlandsfeed. You can direct message me there or send me links. Add me, whatever you want on Twitter. I'm terrible at social media. I'm afraid I'm starting to get addicted to Twitter. I'm going to try and not let that happen because social media is evil, which will be a topic in a future episode, how evil social media is.
And don't send us any stuff on how wrong we are about Islam and how it's the religion of peace. Just save it.
If you want to beat up on us, we're probably not going to mention you or read your emails. We'll just throw them in the trash. So it's a wasted effort on your part.
Yeah.
Spend your energy doing something you enjoy instead of, well, I guess maybe if you do that, you might enjoy doing that. Anyway, you know what I mean. I guess that's it. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.